what is Solo Leveling? Why should you read it? And what's the general background story of the world? I'm going to attempt to describe all three of those questions, or describe the answer to all three of those questions in this video. So, hello everyone and welcome. My name is Bernhard Everett, and we're gonna review a manhwa, I guess, in this case. And that's the first thing, I guess, because there's a bit of terminological confusion that... There's a dirty plate there, which... put that over there because it doesn't look pretty. All right. There's a bit of terminological confusion that is inherent in all these things because it's not a manga. It's a type of comic, in this case a web comic, but it's not a manga. It's not a manhwa, and I did actually use these manhwa. I did use these manhwa and manhwa. Like, what the fuck is the difference in pronunciation between these two? I don't know. I'm just a fucking German. How should I know? Which is funny, because in Germany I say I'm an American, and in America I say I'm a German. So that's there's that. I guess I'm both. So I can do whichever one is more convenient. And I just noticed that this page is in German. Let me just translate that real quick. Oh, it's a different page. Okay. Alright, let me translate this one too. Oh, it's actually longer. And let me put all of these in English. Alright, so apparently there is a difference between all three of these, with manga, written like this, being the Japanese, manhwa, written like this, being the Chinese, and manhwa. Again, I have no idea what the pronunciation difference between this is. If somebody knows it, just give me a comment or something. But yeah, with manhwa being the Korean version. Is that really important? Sort of, question mark, not really. Since actually I didn't know until I just googled it basically now that manhwa and manhwa, you see what I mean, the pronunciation is pretty much the same. I thought those were pretty much the same word, just with different spelling. Turns out it's not the same word, and that depicts like the Chinese and the Korean as, different things. Now, do I really care? No, not really. Do you really care? No. We can't tell the difference between Chinese and Korean. Like, who cares? Alright, so manhwa and manhwa or whatever, I'm just going to use those interchangeably. I'm just going to say Korean or Chinese, I guess, when the series comes. Now, for the one I'm going to review right now, which is Solo Leveling, and I opened chapter 2 here, but let me see. Solo Leveling, yeah, this one. This one is Korean, as far as I can take. Sung Lak Yang. I can't pronounce that. I'm sorry about that. My apologies for butchering that pronunciation. Like I would probably butcher every name in this series. But yeah, this one is definitely a Korean one. It plays in South Korea too. So in Seoul. So I already know. Okay, it's definitely going to be South Korean. Now, as for a general background, in this universe, that is basically Earth. So it's the same world as ours, except for one small difference. As always, people had an awakening. So, see, it's in South Korea. People had an awakening, and they got stronger, got special abilities, and, higher regeneration, strength, and whatever. And, yeah, these people who got that, and it's just a small proportion of the population, I suppose, they suddenly had these special abilities, and now they are basically not tasked with, but pretty much paid for, going into these blue thingies called gates. Now, these gates are entrances to dungeons. Dungeons like you would know from basically World of Warcraft or other video games like that, legitimately just dungeons where monsters dwell in. And, okay, so that's the first thing. The first thing is these gates or dungeons started to appear pretty much everywhere at random. Not all at once, but one after another just keeps appearing randomly. And if they don't get cleared, and this is pretty much the in-universe reason for clearing these things and not just being like, just don't go in there. The reason for actually clearing these is because if it doesn't get cleared for 1 week, the monsters from inside will start spilling out into the real world, and of course the hunters, the awakened people, I guess, the hunters with their special abilities, they might be able to deal with those monsters, but general humans, when faced with a monster, even if it's just like a cave troll or something, or even if it's just a giant wolf, I would was about to curse there, but apparently YouTube's not a friend of cursing. They want like PG stuff these days, so you know, I guess we go with that. An F off wolf. That's what I want to say. So yeah, if you got an F off wolf there, that's just, you know, the size of maybe, yeah, I mean, if it's like 150 tall and just double as wide as you are, you're probably going to die from that. There's really no way you're going to survive that as an average human. So, yeah, that's the in-universe reason for clearing these gates. So there we got awakened people who are called hunters, and gates where monsters come from if you don't clear them within a week. And those are dungeons. And that's, voila, that's already most of the lore explained, because the rest is pretty much the real world, except now you have an economy where people try to go into these gates and try to kill people. Now, not kill people, but kill monsters. Now, of course, it's slightly more complicated than that, but that pretty much gives you everything you need to know to go in with, right? Now, you have different strengths of dungeons and hunters, and it basically follows a pretty normal shonen formula where, okay, this lady, for instance, she's a healer, and this guy is a fire mage, and this guy is a sword fighter guy, whatever. And yeah, they're just, see, this is a scene from inside a dungeon from the start of the, so I'm not spoiling too much here. There's a bunch of people here fighting monsters and clearing the dungeon, and yeah, doing that raid. So there we go, they have it, they did it, yay for them, they cleared the dungeon. Now, what I said, the different ranks of strength. So this is a D rank dungeon. I think the dungeons go from D's. I don't think there's E rank dungeons, although maybe there is. I haven't really seen one yet. So I think the dungeon ranks are, or gate ranks are D, C, B, and A, with A rank being the strongest. And the way they're measured is basically, well, these people got these F off powers, they got these great powers. They awaken, that's of course some kind of magic, so it's obvious that you can measure magic, I guess. I mean, they measure the magic that comes from the gate without looking inside what's in there, just measuring the magic and say, okay, this amount of magic is maybe a C rank, this amount of magic is a B rank, oh shit, this is an A. Damn it, I cursed. That's not good. Oh well, whatever. So, oh no, this is a B rank dungeon, this is A rank dungeon, this is a really high level one, and I think there are S level dungeons, but they are like super rare. I think we learn of one of them in the entire story, and we're going to get to that in a second, I guess, but that's going to be in pretty heavy spoiler territory, because that plotline has not yet been resolved, and it's probably going to be at some point. Yeah. And then also you get the hunters, and they get ranked from E rank, which is the weakest rank, of which our main protagonist at the start of the series, this guy, Sang Yin-woo, he's like the weakest hunter. He's the weakest E rank hunter there is, so the weakest hunter overall. And then it goes to E, D, C, B, A, and S rank. And S rank, of course, being like the top of the top, and even inside the S rank there's differentiation according to how strong you are, because S rank is just basically like they measure the amount of magic you have, and they're like, ah shit, this is not measurable, so you're just like, alright, you're too powerful for us to measure, you're in S rank, screw off, something like that. And these people are so powerful and so rare that pretty much they can do whatever the hell they want, because nobody can really stop them. I mean, they're fucking... I really curse too much. This is going to cost this video a lot of traffic, because again, YouTube decided to be PG, but I'm really going to try to hold that back a bit. Anyway, so yeah, the S rank can't really be controlled because they're just too strong, and they still have their magic powers outside the dungeon. I mean, the monsters come out of the dungeon if you don't clear it, so I mean, the people still have the power outside of the dungeon, so they can really do whatever they want in the real world, and most people can't really stop them. Although there is this thing called the monitoring division, we'll get to know it later. And the monitoring division, they basically look to watch over the hunters to make sure they don't do any untoward stuff, and it keeps pretty much everyone below A rank or below in line, because the monitoring division has like one S rank and several A rank people, so they can't take you out if you're not yourself an S rank. If you're an S rank, that's a bit harder, then they can't really tell you what to do. But if you're below an S rank, they can keep you at base. So there you go. That's that. Now, monsters drop these magical cores, and these crystals are sort of like currency. and they're worth a lot of money. Now thousands in their currency is maybe hundreds, maybe dozens of bucks. In our currency, it's not like the most amount of money. I think the rate at which it gets converted is pretty small, but alright. Now, this whole story starts with them clearing this dungeon and seeing a second dungeon, and then basically deciding, should we go in there or not? And if you know any place this is, gonna go, then the answer was obviously no, they shouldn't have gone in there. And pretty much, not all of them, but most of them get their ass handed to them, and killed, and I'm not going to spoil that because you should watch it yourself. But basically, at the end of that dungeon, this scene happens where he's like, oh shit, the last guy getting attacked by these things, and yeah, basically getting killed. And then, and I don't know if this is a spoiler, but he gets a reawakening, and he gets, let's see, what was that? Maybe chapter 6? I'm gonna have to guess here. Nope. Chapter 7? Nope. Chapter 8? Nope. Chapter 9? Nope. So it takes about 10 chapters? Nope. 11 chapters? Yes, there you go. So after 11 chapters, he basically gets a reawakening. He gets stronger, or not stronger per se, but he gets like the chance to grow stronger, where he got killed but he wakes up again. Oh shit, it's a dream. And they suspect him of a reawakening, measure his magic. It's like, well shit, your magic is still, yeah, useless pretty much. So let's see. So there you go. That he talks about the awakening or reawakening. Some hunters actually get so a hunter's stats are set when they receive the awakening or power. However, some hunters get awakened again after the first time. There have been cases where C ranks plotting directly to an A rank or B rank shooting to an S rank. So that's a pretty cool thing. So yeah, you can't really grow with those powers, but you can reawaken at least once if you need to. Now in this case, this guy's magic power is yeah, still the weakest guy out there, and he has one thing going for him that the others don't, though. He has a fucking inventory, and what's it called? All right, yeah. So he has a friggin' inventory, and he has like these quests he gets, and all of this stuff he can use to grow stronger. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So he gets these golds and the daily quests, although those kind of fell to the side, but they were a plot convenience at the beginning, I suppose, to get him started to some point. And if he doesn't follow them, he basically gets put in this weird desert world or punishment zone where he gets attacked by giant monsters and he has to survive that. Although at some point he just kind of gets strong enough to kill all of them. Anyway, long story short, yes, it's a world where people get awakening powers, and dungeons spawn, and you need to clear the dungeons, otherwise they spill out into the real world, and that's and the monsters start killing people, which you don't want, so you kill the monsters. And he gets basically to be the player of this game or whatever it is, or the system, and it's not really explained to this point what the system actually is. Honestly, I would probably do whatever I needed to not get punished, but I would also be pretty constantly be thinking about like, okay, what the hell does that mean? Am I in like a PC game or something? Like, I would have like an existential crisis at that point, because if suddenly like a little info screen starts floating in front of me like in a video game, I'm gonna be like, and everyone else doesn't see it, I'm gonna be like, this is weird. let's just leave it at that. This is weird. This shouldn't be happening, right? Is this world even real? Like, what the hell is going on here? I would be basically in crisis when that happened. But okay, so he deals with it a bit better than most people, and I find it sad that it's not really addressed. It's sort of addressed in two instances recently, where one monster basically tells him like, oh, we hear this voice in our head telling us to kill people, but with you we don't hear that voice. Or some other person's like, well, you know, people who have this awakening, they usually smell really bad, but you don't really smell at all, so it's like you're not really affected by the system. And he also gets some like individual levels that others don't even get. So it's not really explained what the power is, or what the whole world building around it is like. It's not really explained that well, let's put it that way. So everything that's explained is that something big is coming, and as I said before, there was this one place where an S-rank dungeon opened, which was Jeju Island, or Jeju, whatever. It's a Korean island more to the south, and that Jeju Island place, it got basically overrun by ants. Yeah, ants. A giant Fallout-style killer ant things that just basically wiped out whatever S-rank, you know, tried to attack them, or defeated them, and most of the people who were there were traumatized. But these giant ants still hold that island, and people were like, well, let's just abandon the island and give it up, because whatever, it doesn't really matter, does it? Yeah, I mean, the plot line with that kind of developed into to the point now where these ants actually started growing wings, or at least a few of them started growing wings and flying over to the mainland. And yes, they were dead on arrival, but it's still worrisome that the ants just kind of started flying over to the mainland. That would be some point where most people would be like, all right, well, S-rank ants that beat our S-rank heroes basically are starting to fly over to the mainland, and they might start, you know, killing us if they get here. So, you know, that's not good. That can't be good. Yeah, I'm wondering where that plot line's gonna be going. So that's gonna be interesting. All right, well, there's that. I'm gonna look if I find the Jeju Island thing again, but no, I don't think so. I don't think I'll find it. Alright, but whatever. His father apparently came back to the world after being trapped in a dungeon for 10 years, and apparently this is the thing, his father also has this level up system, because he's also like F-off strong. So I'm going to be interested to see what happens if the two of them meet together. Now, the basic point about that, though, is that the current story is progressing, like, it's progressing rather fast on the one hand, but on the other hand, it's just that it's not a lot of panels. Like, the chapters are very short, so it's like fast progression, but very short chapters. So we're going to have to stay a few more, what's it called? Weeks or months maybe, until we get to the point where these are very, very interesting, I suppose. Or this turns into a very interesting part where the other plot lines turn into, yeah. Start working out in some interesting capacity, let's put it that way. Alright, well, I think that's pretty much the most basic introduction I could give, and probably not the shortest one. Yeah, same world, dungeon spawn, some people have magic people go into the dungeon, can't really grow in their powers, but get a lot of money for doing what they do. One guy gets killed, reawakens, was the weakest at the start, standard shonen formula, trains his way up, and at the current point in the story he's already in S rank. So, you know, there you go, that's a short summation of it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Subscribe to the channel if you want to, if you don't, whatever, and have a nice day. Peace out. And see you in the next video if you want to watch that. If not, whatever.